guys, it's Minnesota Chess Kid, and I may have just played one of my best chess games ever. Today, we're going to take a look at it in game review to see what happened in this interesting game. I was playing Pickwick 99. He was rated 900, and I was rated 923. Game review says he played the game like a 1,300 rated player, and that I played the game like a 1,600 player. Let's see what happened in this game. He opened up the game with the queen's pawn opening. 1d4. And I just brought my queen's pawn out because I don't know what else to do, and I'm just like, let's develop. He brings his knight out pretty normally, and I also bring my knight out because I'm like, let's see if he'll do the 4 knights. He'll let me do the 4 knights defense, which he did let me do 4 knights defense, but I probably should have brought this pawn out first. And he brought his bishop out, which is clearly the best move, just developing a piece normally. And I put this pawn here because I didn't want his knight to come to b5 and for him to have any ideas on c8, forking the king and the rook. I don't want to deal with any of that. So I played that move. They wanted me to develop my bishop also, but this is an excellent move, and that's fine. He brought his queen down one, probably preparing to castle. And I played pawn to g6, hoping to bring my bishop to g7, and then castle kingside on g8. It didn't love that move. Thought I could maybe bring this pawn out first and support the center more, but that works. Then he castles like he prepared for with his queen, and I bring my bishop here, just like I had planned. He puts the knight here. I think he was trying to create a fork or a pin this knight to this bishop or whatever, but I don't know. So I take, and yeah, I was right. But it would have made more sense to not create the pin and take with the pawn, because if you take with the pawn, then my knight is like forced to move, and you sort of get an idea where you're controlling the center more with your queen and your rook and your 2 pawns and your knight and your bishop. You're just controlling the center more then. But he took with the bishop, which is an inaccuracy. Game review doesn't love that. And then I castled. That was my plan. Bring the bishop out and then castle. So I did that. I got good moves, which are not great. They're not. Excellent move is much better than a good move in game review. It is only 1 down, but it was just kind of meh, it means. Putting the queen here is a mistake. So putting more pressure on the knight, it's defended by a pawn, a bishop, and a queen, so I shouldn't worry about much. But then I played this move, which doesn't make sense. I don't really know what I was thinking. I definitely could have moved the knight. That would have made more sense. Maybe trying to put the pawn here and then fork the queen and the bishop, already attacking the bishop, and trying to weaken the center and maybe push this pawn after this pawn recaptures the bishop. But if I did play here, he would take the bishop, I would take back, and he would move his queen because he does not want to get pushed out of the way. And he does not really have a ton of great squares to move to with his queen. So, yeah, I guess that was a mistake, but doesn't really seem like it. It didn't really seem like it in the game. It was a tricky plan to see. Anyway, I played this pawn move, which is an inaccuracy because it actually gives this knight 1 less defender. It looks like you're adding a defender, but the queen is actually backing up the pawn as like a double defense. Anyway, I did that. That was an inaccuracy. He pushed this pawn just fine. And then I kicked the queen out, which game review liked. It says it's the best move. He moves his queen here, trying to keep pressure on the knight. And I will give this pawn more center defense. I don't exactly know why. It would have been it's a game review says I should have attacked the queen again. But, yeah, this is kind of a meh move. And then he kicks my queen. I go queen to e7, which is not a good move because he pins my queen to my rook, and this bishop is well defended by the queen. I have to move my queen, and he gets my rook, and he's up 2 points of material. So I know I'm not completely lost because my position isn't quite destroyed, but he tries to break into it immediately. I go here just trying to maintain this row, and he takes. It's fine. I still have a solid position. Nothing is quite cracked yet. He pushes this pawn now. He's just trying to break up everything with his pawns, I think. Excuse me. And he seems to have most of the right ideas. Game Review's giving him excellent moves. I have this inaccuracy of attacking the queen, which doesn't really do anything and kind of weakens my position more for this pawn to be pushed, I think, eventually. He moves his queen to the best position, maintaining pressure on my pieces. And I move my knight out of the way just to keep an eye on this square so I can maybe push. And who knows? Anyway, he moves the knight kind of randomly, which I'm pretty sure that's an inaccuracy. And I play this move, which Game Review doesn't love, but I thought I might have an idea here, and you'll see what I mean in a second. He takes, I take with the bishop, and he plays this move with the knight. My rook is under attack. I could trade knights with him, but I don't want to trade right now because I'm down material. But all of a sudden, I'm like, wait, I don't have to pay attention to this knight at all. I have bishop to b2, check. A brilliant move. Forcing the king to move, whilst his queen is just hanging. He takes the bishop, which is not a great move, but if he went here, I could take the queen, and I'd be fine, because now his knight is hanging. And yeah, he can go here with his rook. But if I move out of the way and go here, he can't take my knight back because then it's check. And now I get your rook. So a very deep move. But he's like, he doesn't. The better move would have been to not completely lose his queen. But it wouldn't have mattered anyway, because I'd still be completely winning with a better structure than he has. He took the bishop, which just gave me a queen. And now I'm definitely winning. He takes the pawn, and I take his pawn. He plays bishop, I take his pawn, and the idea is that I'm attacking 4 pieces at once. The knight, the 2 rooks, and the bishop. I'm gonna win material. He does not want to lose his rooks, so he moves his bishop, and he can't move it here because then he loses the knight. But he moves his bishop, allowing me to win his bishop. He attacks me with his knight, and I take another pawn. Again, the best move. He plays this inaccuracy, which is just, you don't have any checkmating ideas here. It wasn't really necessary, and I check him. I don't know why the reason he didn't play this, I think, is because, actually, he's just going to lose a knight here. This just loses a knight because you can't come forward or to the side because your pieces are kind of squishing you. So he loses the knight after that fork, I guess you could call it. He checks me, which doesn't really have an idea. Brings the rook down. I check him. He moves his king. I take another pawn. I'm just like, it's easy pickings right now. He pushes a pawn, which I take, because I'm like, if you're going to get that pawn, I don't really care. He attacks the pawn, which the eval bar says I have an 8.4 advantage right now. I just check him again, and I'm like, wait, there might be a fork between the king and the rook. Turns out, yeah, he did sort of make that mistake, and there is a fork. Yeah, I win the rook, and he resigns. I played one brilliant move in this game, 12 best moves. No mistakes, no misses, no blunders, no great moves. He played 10 best moves. He had one mistake, and he blundered once. None of anything else except, inaccuracies, goods, excellence, the stuff that they don't show in the highlights. I'm going to give it to him. He played good too. Up until he made the blunder of allowing me to play a brilliant move and winning his queen. Goodbye.